This programme is brought to you by ultimatepool.tv.
The Pairs Cup is back, and so is the Dream Team. Four-time World 8-Ball champion Gareth Potts re-enters the pairs with four-time Snooker World champion Mark Selby. The brothers-in-law put in one of the all-time ultimate pool moments last time around with a dramatic three-way six-red shootout victory. Two legends of Q Sports they may be, but last year was a warning sign. They already know that they've got their work cut out tonight. First of the challengers are London duo Ian Ali and Osama Al-Maskini. Ian Ali is a former pool professional, and in the small tiger Osama Maskini teams with a Moroccan national champion and World Masters semi-finalist. The small tiger is a dark horse this evening. Elsewhere, Ultimate Pool Pro Patel Patel is joined by his old Indian teammate Steve Singh. Bucket loads of experience in this pairing, with Hitton having some excellent results in the Pro Series of late, and Steve Singh qualified in last year's Pairs Cup via six-red shootout to show that the old dog still has the legs if required. And finally tonight, as fourth seeds go, Alex Bailey and Lee Grout have as good a puncher's chance as any. Alex is a former England international, and Lee put in a quality performance recently in the Masters to show his credentials. Here we go again then in the Ultimate Pool Pairs Cup as the Dream Team run the gauntlet once more. If it's anything like their last time, we're in for a treat. First up on the break is Super Steve Singh, who's going to get his partnership going with Patel Patel. If you're new around here and you've not seen the Ultimate Pool Pairs Cup before, it is obviously a pairs competition. First frame of the match will be Scotch doubles, which is alternate shots. Then we'll have two frames of singles, Scotch again, two singles, and if required, a final deciding Scotch frame. It's races to 4 or first or 20 minutes, whichever one does come first. All the pairs will play each other, and whoever's top of the league come the end of the night will qualify through to the next stage. If two or more pairs are level, we will see a six-red shootout. Lovely shot that from Patel Patel.
Great chance to get going with a lovely finish here. Everything's in the open. Just that one in the middle of the, break line at the top there. I don't think that goes to either top corner pocket, so just have to play good position onto it. It might squeeze top left, but it's tight. But it's easy enough to play for it in the middle as well.
Yeah, Hitton's been enjoying a little bit of a resurgence of late. Was really struggling, having made an Ultimate Pool professional career at the end of last season, won a Challenger Series event, was one of the top 8 in that series, made it through as a pro this year. No small feat in and of itself, but he really struggled in the opening tournaments, and then a couple of months back now in Birmingham, he just hit the switch, didn't he, and ran deep in 2 events, I think a semi-final and a quarter-final run in one weekend, and it's totally changed his mentality now. He's a much more confident player, feels like he belongs, and that sort of player is dangerous.
Yeah, confidence is the key word. He credits Neil Raybone a lot with helping him with the mental side of the game. They were practicing together a lot and, playing some great stuff in practice. And Neil was asking, why aren't you feeling, confident? Because look at the way you're playing here. And he didn't really believe he could compete at the pro level, but he proved in Birmingham that he could, although the shot he's just played isn't the best.
Wasn't the best, yeah. And Super Stevie Singh got a plant in for us here. He's going to have to come up with something pretty impressive. Not to be. It's a tough shot, that. It was a tough shot that Hitton actually had to play, actually. Didn't have the angle that he wanted to try to force it. Just ran into the yellow. Was trying to hit a pretty small gap. And the cannon on the yellow didn't enable him to do it.
Yeah, not a lot of expectation perhaps on Maskini and Ali here, but they actually come in. I think this is a very, very dangerous partnership. I really do. I mean, Ian is probably regarded by many as one of the best challengers in the Challenger Series, and a lot of people tipping him to finish top 16. And he's in the 40s, but he's not where he wants to be at this stage. But he is more than capable if he really gets going. his best game is very, very dangerous. And we've seen Usama a few times, and every time we've seen him play, he's looked very good and really solid out there. So I expect these two to go really close to qualifying tonight. As you said at the top of the show, Stephen, I mean, what a great group we have. It is a very tough group across the board.
Yeah, when your fourth seed, as it were, is a former international, it's a pretty good group, let alone all the other pairs. And Ian Ali and Osama Maskini get us started here.
The next two frames were shared. We join Ian Ali breaking off in frame 4.
Ian Ali on the break. 5 minutes left, which means the 15-second shot clock will begin. And this will be a tester for Ian Ali. As good a player as he is, he will have never played on a 15-second shot clock. This is his first Monday night event. All his previous Ultimate Pool events, he's not made the arena stage, so he's yet to play on 15 seconds. And it is a tester for those who haven't done it before.
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, it really is hard to get your head around how tough it is out there at 15 seconds a shot. He didn't hit the break there very well. They've not really opened up that kindly for him.
I think it helps a little bit for him that Osama Maskini is used to 15 seconds. He's had quite a few goes at it now. He was in the Masters and the Pairs last year.
Yeah, I've been impressed every time he's played as well. 2 yellows on the right-hand side there in the bottom half of the table, very tricky. Okay, the one closer to the right centre is doable, but the other one is a real problem ball.
I've got a little bit of an angle now to work into that sort of area. What can they produce? Oh, yeah. That's a great shot.
Brilliant.
Love that.
The difference that makes to this layout here is massive, isn't it? All of a sudden, those two on the right are no longer a problem, and now it's just, you know, mind your work and hold yourself together. A great shot from Ian as well.
From Ian Ali. Tell you what, this will be a tidy finish. The route now is clear for Osama Maskini and Ian Ali to go 3-1 in front with 3.5 remaining. Floats that one in, that's nice.
I wonder what they're going to do on this final yellow. If it's one of those, do you play and leave angle, so you sort of nudge into the red and leave the 8 ball long?
Well, I think yes is your answer now.
Yeah. Yeah, just that. Lovely.
Really, really good this from Osama Maskini and Ian Ali. This for 3-1. Bang. Our first visit off the break.
Ian Ali made a good reverse clearance in the next frame to complete a 4-1 victory. On to our second match, and it's the Dream Team up against Gareth and Bailey. We join it halfway through the opening frame.
Okay, that's an interesting one. So it's a clever shot opening up the yellow, but obviously the risk in that is you're opening up the red at the same time. But what that does is it means that it puts Lee and Alex under huge pressure now to come up with a shot, a good safety or a good pot, because there's no good pots on really here. There's a couple of half chances. If they don't get this right, they're going to leave yellows on, and then it comes down to one good shot onto that 8 ball. Or they need to hit a cushion. They need to hit a cushion, and they're not going to. And worse than that, for Lee Grout, he's actually moved the red into a position where that 8 ball actually becomes less of a problem now. It's a fairly comfortable shot off the red near the pocket.
Yeah, that's tough.
Yeah, that couldn't have gone a huge amount worse, really.
Yeah, there'll be a point tonight where you sort of get the sense that Mark Selby and Gareth Potts here won't make many mistakes. If they do give you a chance, you really, really are under the gun to punish them for making said mistake.
Interesting to see what he decides to do here. He's got a lot of angle, and he's having a look to see 8 ball off the red, but if he really wanted to, and Gareth is one of the, you know, the most precise positional players you'll ever see, he could play short position here as well. No, he's played 8 ball off the red, and don't blame him for doing that. This is a fairly comfortable shot.
Oh, well then. Well then. Opportunity knocks for Lee Grout.
And that error would cost them the opening frame. Selby did make amends in the next, making it 1-1 as we move into frame 3.
He tends to get beat on these Ultimate Pool weekends, Gareth, by Players who are playing absolutely out of their skin, which happens to a lot of players. That's not unique. But yeah, he's not quite had the rub this year so far with the Ultimate Pool Pro Series. I mean, just take his 2 finals, for example. One against Chris Melling, I think he had 6 dry breaks, didn't really get a chance at the table. And the one he lost to Mick Hill was, I mean, Mick was frightening in that match.
Yeah, he was. It was a very impressive performance, certainly from the match play side of things. It was absolutely incredible. And yeah, when you know, the 2 finals you've lost against two of the greats of the game. But, you know, Gareth will be the first to tell, well, he was the first to tell you, that the performance he put in this weekend in the Players' Championship was right up there, if not the greatest he's ever played at this version of the game. It was incredible performance, breaking and clearing at such a ridiculous level, but dry here with his first break of the night. Big chance here for Lee Grout to claim a famous singles win over Gareth Potts.
Yeah, you stick that on the CV.
Yeah, it may only be one frame.
Leave it there forever.
Yeah, it may only be 1 frame, but you know, I'd have that up on the. I'd have that framed up.
Yeah, that's nice.
And
it's to slow up a little.
Yeah, now these are on, but yeah, that shot there was key. He's a bit awkward on his next angle. He's got a choice of 3 pots here, but they're all awkward angles.
He'd love to have been on the ball he's closest to now, but he's going to have a little bit of a reroute. He's held that one really nicely. It's a good shot.
Yeah, it's actually a really good recovery now. You can now go to the bottom right-hand corner pocket, and you can go 2 different ways at the top end of the table. If you get the cue ball back to the middle of the table, you've got top right, and then you've got the one in the centre, and it is all simple, really. So just make this one, get the cue ball back out, and I wouldn't say you can't fail, but you pretty much nailed on if you just hold your work, mind your work here. Straight into the top right, and it's just a simple stun shot, and the rest of it's simple. So good visit here.
Oh, those are the ones where you've got to mind it.
Yeah,
that's a tester.
That's big. I mean, okay, I mean, if this is where, Lee doesn't play as much as he used to. We talked about that in his interview. It's a queuing shot. It's one where if you're really in stroke, you're going to be knocking in 100 out of 100. But the difference by being a foot closer to that is that he would have, even in this circumstances, he would have been knocking it in every time. It just wasn't. It was just awkward enough to miss it. And he knew, like I knew, that was frame ball.
And also, as well, there's something to be said for when you know you are bang straight on a long pot like that. All you're saying in your own head is just cue it straight. And that makes you think about your cue action more than you necessarily should.
And also, and I'll openly admit this because it was one of the biggest faults of my game, it makes a difference who you're playing. And if it makes a difference to who you're playing, and the top players don't, the good players really don't, but I certainly did, and that may well have been in the back of Lee's mind that was a great chance to go ahead of Potts and Selby with minutes to go. Could have done with being about half the distance again to the cushion so he could just top this through. Needs to play a good positional shot now. Got to guard against finishing straight on the cushion. But these sorts of shots here are where Gareth's hours of dedication and practice come in. He's so good at these sorts of shots. Has left himself a touch on the straight side though.
Yeah, he has got a bit of angle, and we've seen so many times on this table, you don't need much to force what seems to be a lot.
Not surprised to see him not try and do too much with that though. Just give yourself a shot at it and back yourself to make these sort of shots.
Well, this is where we can compare the two. This is all about queuing, and it's a tough shot. But Gareth Potts, was he in off? No, he's fine. Great shot.
In the next frame, Potts and Selby were able to run the clock down to complete the victory. On to match 3, where the 2 losers from our opening round of games do battle. We join them in frame 3 after the opening 2 frames were shared.
8 ball, no.
How is that not dropped? And it's dry.
I tell you what, Lee has a massive weapon of a break.
Yeah, he does.
He really does. I mean,
we saw that in the Masters a couple of weeks ago. He strikes that break beautifully.
I mean, I wouldn't mind borrowing that break for a tournament or 2. I mean, cue ball straight up the middle of the table with every break so far. I say every break he did go in off on 1, but the power through the pack has been great on every break. It's been, small sample size, yes, but that looks like easy power for Lee Grout. It's as close as we'll see to a golden break without getting one. Also, as easy an opportunity for reverse clearance as we'll ever see as well.
Yeah.
Steve Singh will be mortified if he doesn't clear these up. One shot to play. And that's when you transition from the top of the table to the bottom of the table. You can't use the bottom left-hand corner pocket. So you've got to, yeah, he's picking the angle here. So if he's coming down the right-hand side of the table, he has to come far enough down. Argument to say he could have gone the other way round and left the one to the top left and used the one in the middle of the table to the bottom right corner, and that would have been a less cue ball movement. But you can't really argue. I mean, coming down this side of the table is not a huge problem either. So much margin of error on this shot. And that is perfect.
Yeah, it certainly is. Just what the singer was looking for. Job done for Steve Singh and Hitan Patel.
That frame would prove to be the difference, as a drawn-out tactical frame followed and Patel and Singh were able to hold on for the win. On to the always pivotal fourth match, Selby and Potts with the break.
You know, well documented. Gareth has arguably one of the best breaks in the game.
Have some of that.
And he's handing it over to Mark, but this is why. I mean, what a weapon he has.
Have some of that. Crunch. Ball's just unfurling out onto the table like a starfish, and plenty of options available for Gareth Potts, although that one has gone a little bit wrong.
Yeah, that's not gone well.
I wonder if they've got an out up to the top left. Have they got a little plant? Can he thread that through the gap? They're a little bit lucky if they do.
Yeah, it's a really tough shot, though. The yellow at the top, it doesn't look like it helps it. You can get the double kiss and it not go in. Doesn't look like a big pocket
Shot.
What a shot. Any thicker on that yellow at the top of the table, and that double kisses and stays on the table. So great plant.
Yeah.
Still not out the woods, though. It's still not perfect here.
It looked like that was going to be a pretty routine lineup for Potts and Selby, but that first shot from Gareth just put a little bit of jeopardy into this visit. That's a tough finish from here now. Just discussing the best way around it. I think from the way they're talking about this, they can clip the one top of the rail. Yes, they are. This is a big shot now. If he can stick the cue ball, he's perfect. He's not perfect.
Yeah, they're still chasing, getting this back on track.
I think he was aiming for the red full in the face there, which would have been perfect.
Yeah.
But this still clips.
Yeah, now they're back in good shape. That clip along the top of the table that Gareth took on, he's so good at those sorts of shots. He does those sorts of shots for hours in routines and drills, and he just feels so confident on those sorts of shots. He normally plays them with so much control as well.
Yeah, for those familiar with the Gareth Potts social media accounts, you'll have seen those drills, the ones that he posts. They are an absolute farce, really. Some of the tariffs that he takes on, and the amount that he takes on and makes first go as well is a joke. We're having some good fun out there in the arena earlier, doing some trick shots and what have you, and almost annoying how quickly he gets them.
Yeah, to be fair, both of them were on really good form as well.
They were, yeah.
A great afternoon. Lots of fun out there.
Well, they've made pretty heavy weather of this finish, but in the end, it's a really, really good finish. Lovely position for Mark Selby to cue this one home. Oh, well. Oh, you'd have put your house on it.
Wasn't an easy shot, though, but that was always wide. And to be honest with you, what's surprising about that is that from those sorts of shots, oh dear.
Oh, Ian. Oh, that's
it's all happening.
Huge let-off.
I was about to say the shot that Mark just played. We've been talking a lot about brand new cloths, perfect balls, perfect conditions. Those slide in a little bit from if you miss on the narrow side, not the wide side, but he missed wide.
Can't tell if he'll be delighted to be straight back to the table or if he'd rather just get over that one for a bit longer.
It depends how this break goes. Well, he hits it terribly, and he's going to have to think about that previous shot for a while.
Oh, that's tough. Because, to be absolutely clear, for as much as we are saying that the Mark Selby miss was a bad one, I think that's relative to the quality of player we're dealing with. The Ian Alley miss was a real bad one.
Yeah, I mean, you and I could be behind that 8-ball all day and not make it. So yeah, it's a tough.
It was a tough. I'd put myself in that camp without question.
It was a tough shot that we expected him to make because he's such a good cueist. Right at the top of the table is the problem here. The rest are fairly comfortable. Oh, he's overhit that. If the red stops before the yellow, it could. It's then perfect for the connection to one at the top. He's now going to have to play a developing shot. He's got the angle to do it straight away, though.
Yeah, it's not a bad plan B coming up here for Mark Selby. That'll do.
Oh, he's still digging, though. Yes, he's on. He's developed the 2 at the top, but he's not on anything nice. He can pot the one to the bottom left, the one by the 8-ball. He could pot the one in the open, but where's that going? That's tough. I think it does clip back, but no cue ball. So 2 or 3 really good shots required to get back on track here. There's one of them.
That's a little more like it.
Yeah. Yeah, that was good. Has he come back far enough that he can play the natural? I think he has. I think the natural path here for the cue ball was going towards the yellow, which is exactly what he wants.
Yeah, that's a hell of a shot. And that's the sort of shot why we're so surprised when Mark missed that 8-ball. Because the one he's just nailed there was a much tougher shot, and he's played perfect cue ball as well.
Much harder, yeah.
Near the top of the rail. I mean, that sort of shot is the reason why he's one of the best snooker players ever. And there will be that conversation because, for as good, as great a snooker player as Mark Selby is, and there are plenty of great snooker players. Plenty of them watch the show, I know, and they'll all think, I fancy a bit of a dig here. But it's not that easy.
Oh,
that was very nearly a golden break. That was right in.
And this is the break we saw all weekend long when he came through the Players' Championship. The statistic that was thrown about was incredible. Over the course of the weekend, and he played a lot of matches over the course of the weekend coming through that group, he had 30 opportunities to break clear, and he made 25 of them, including his first ever golden break. I mean, it was relentless. And you throw into that just a sort of 80% or above reverse clearance ratio as well. I mean, that's why he was talking about it being one of the best performances he's ever had.
Oh, I can give you the stat for that one. He was invited to the table off 15 of his opponent's break on the Sunday, and he cleared up 13 times.
Yeah, that was on the Sunday alone. He had enough of them on the Saturday as well. It really was. It was incredible.
What's so impressive about that is we see so much of the game in our very comfy chairs here at the Players Born Snooker Lounge. We see so many brilliant players play at such a high level so often. But it's when you can do it over that sort of length of time, that's when it becomes truly special. And the performance that I sort of compared it to Gareth himself earlier when we were having a chat was Tom Cousins in last season's Pro Cup, which I think was about as dominant a run as someone's had consistently in a tournament, where, I mean, he was break clearing at a click of about 85% for 5 matches in a row, which is just a joke.
It was a very similar feel, to be honest with you, and it was just incredible.
But these are the standards that Gareth sets. You'd struggle to find anyone who puts as much time in as himself. He's a fierce practicer. The golden boy of the game with the 8-ball. And it's 3-0 to the Dream Team.
Potts and Selby won the next to wrap up a 4-0 victory and go into a very strong position in the group. Ali and Maskini are straight back in action, needing a win to have any chance of a three-way 6-red shootout.
To the next hour or so. These two. Up next, Osama Maskini and Ian Ali up against Alex Bailey and Lee Grout. For Lee Grout and Alex Bailey, they are trying to play spoiler. Ian Ali and Osama Maskini can still qualify from this evening. They must win, and if they do, they keep themselves in the night, and they must hope that Steve Singh and Hitan Patel pull off a result against Gareth Potts and Mark Selby, and for the second year in a row, we will have a three-way 6-red shootout involving Gareth Potts and Mark Selby.
Yeah, we've been there before.
Yeah, we've been there before. We know it's possible. And with all due respect to Andy Cragg and Zach Shepherd, who pulled off an incredible result last year, you'd say on paper Hitan Patel and Steve Singh are at a slightly level above, and they've got real experience in this competition as well. They are good for a result if they can pull it together.
Absolutely.
So Maskini and Ali here, you've just got to get the job done. But they've not got first poke in this frame. And you've got to feel a little bit sorry for Osama Maskini. He didn't really get a go in the last match. 4-0 defeat. I'm not sure if he put his hand on the table.
It did feel that way, didn't it? It's like the chances all fell to Ian. He made a couple of errors, certainly in that first frame we've talked about. But yeah, it can happen out there in the pairs. It really can.
Alex Bailey punches in another 8-ball.
The next two frames were shared as we move into frame 4.
Looks like they'd be hitting the red before the cushion, therefore the red then goes into the 8-ball and just pops it open. Oh, it would have done.
Well.
Missed the pot, all the focus on the cannon.
Cannon came out all right. Look what they would have had. A dolly for 2-2 and the next break. And now, well, I tell you what, I'm not sure Alex, is Alex Bailey all right there? Can you see the potting angle? Yes. As we look at it on the overhead, that looked like it didn't quite go. I thought he'd been a bit of a howler there, Alex Bailey, but he's absolutely fine. I've done him a disservice. He's good. Fooled by the overhead camera for the 400th time in the tournament.
Yeah, this visit here, right now, has the opportunity to really hurt Al Maskini and Ali. If this frame goes to Bailey and Grout, it's their chance of qualifying gone. It'll be down to 2. Well, they've left their hardest ball till last. Never potentially a good recipe for clearing up, and it's not a good angle on this red into the centre pocket. Yeah, it was I don't want to be too critical on Lee Grout, but it was a poor mistake because he wasn't really moving the cue ball very far. Had to make sure you had angle on this one, because if you get the cue ball, you know, if you've got the cue ball back to have angle there, you're just drifting to the bottom left-hand side of the table. Then you've got a chance to clear it up with some control.
That's a massive moment. That could be a huge moment. Yeah, this is an enormous ask. Oh, it's not a bad shot, mind. It's a really good go.
It is. He's on this and he can get on the final red, but he then has to play a great positional shot to get on the 8-ball.
Oh, that stayed up. Can you believe it?
Big shout there for Ian. Minute and a half to save their night. No real issues here. It looks messier than it is. These will just unfold. Drop this one in, then you got one in the centre, and then the corner. It all unfolds and unpicks. And the one down the bottom of the table, you know, from the middle of the table, you drop that in, and then you come around 2 cushions for the 8-ball in the same pocket. So no real problems here. It's just mind your work time.
Yeah, mind your business, Ian Ali. Nothing silly.
Okay, I don't believe he was even thinking about playing for the one at the bottom of the table. I think he's just had a massive rush of blood there. I think he was always playing for the one he's playing now. He's just hit it twice as far as he needed to.
This requires a shot now.
Great shot.
He's played it. What a dig.
And I think he's got just about straight enough just to screw back. Where he is now is perfect.
Yeah, what a dig he's played there. He's okay here. Can swing it around. 30 seconds left. Just make sure. Now, I think he can't quite, I don't think, run the clock out here. And the extension will help. He can run the clock out. Keep this cue ball moving. All eyes on the clock. And there is time left, so there will be a break. The reason why that's important is it's going to be Bailey and Grout with the break, and a golden break will ruin Ian Alley's clearance. Alex Bailey with the cut break. 8-ball for the tie. 8-ball for the tie. It's not going to make it, and that will do it for Ian Alley and Osama Maskini.
On to our last match of the night. If Potts and Selby avoid defeat, then they go through. If they lose, then it's a 3-way, 6-red shootout.
We've been here before.
Has been here before. He qualified via 6-red shootout last year with Neil Davey. Potts and Selby, we've said it enough times already tonight, did the same via 3-way last year. Oddly similar circumstances, but they know what they must do.
Yeah, and they talked about the pressure is very weird when you've been out there, you've won your first 2 matches, you've got qualification in your own control. You know, we've heard Gareth talk about it in individual play as well.
It's a different kind of pressure.
It is. You feel like almost got something to lose out there rather than just trying to win a match to qualify through. But they'd take this position every single time. But they need to get the job done. They didn't manage to do it last year.
Yeah, it's a really strange kind of pressure. It's one that doesn't really happen all that often in sort of regulation cue sports. It's only with this sort of group stage that we've got going here where that sort of dynamic can happen, because if you both enter a match, you're both on even footing. You both can lose it, you both can win it. But Gareth Potts and Mark Selby here have much more to lose in this match. Lovely plant from Gareth Potts. Cue ball's a little bit awkward for Mark Selby here, but he doesn't have to do a huge amount with it, I don't think.
Yeah, I think if he drops it in, he leaves the perfect angle to drift down the right centre of the table. And then if you get on the one below the 8-ball, you're almost home free. Maybe just a touch too straight to play the shot I'm talking about. Might have to just punch it wider, but they're still in great shape here. No, he could just drift down that line I was talking about. He's overhit this shot quite significantly.
Yeah.
But use the 8-ball now just to hold the cue ball.
You also don't want to send that 8-ball too far up the table.
Yeah,
if it goes above that middle pocket, you are dancing with all kinds of trouble.
Yeah, you could even send it close to the middle pocket as well. This is a very delicate little shot.
This red ball should just be dropping in if it's played well.
Oh, beautiful.
Controlled that so well. That's such a better shot than it looked.
It's a shot, actually, we see Gareth play a lot. I've not seen anyone play it better than Gareth, where they're killing the cue ball. You think the cue ball's going to have so much momentum on it, and he finds a way just to absolutely kill it. Obviously, it was Mark that played it on this occasion, but
it's important to kill it there as well, because, as I say, if that 8-ball goes much further, if it goes above the middle pocket, that top left is an absolute nightmare. But look at where they are now. Yet again, they run into a little bit of trouble. They've not made it look easy, but they had the quality to play it through and see it out. And worth pointing out as well, for those who don't know, Mark's last proper tournament in 8-ball was in 2007, the World Championships for that year. The person who officially retired him from the game in the quarterfinals, that'll be his now brother-in-law Gareth Potts. Yeah. So it's, I think Gareth feels like he owes him one a little bit. But it was lovely to hear, as it always is, from the two great players that they are. You know, Gareth speaks of it being an honour to play with Mark, and there is so much. There's a huge amount of friendship between them, and you know, a familial bond and all the rest of it. But there's also a huge amount of mutual respect as well for what each other has done in their respective cue sports. I mean, genuinely two of the best people ever to have picked up a cue.
Yeah, absolutely. Incredible, really, what they've both achieved in their careers. Obviously, you know, Mark well documented everything in the snooker world, but, you know, look at Gareth in the Chinese 8-ball world as well as the English 8-ball world. It's absolutely incredible what they both achieved in their careers. And they're still out there enjoying things right now, and they're still out there at the top of their respective fields right now as well.
Mark lined this one up exactly.
Yeah, the one by
doesn't look delighted with where he's left his cue ball.
I think he's got a shade too much angle. I don't think the natural takes him into the... He wanted to basically just to bump into the red, the one to the right of the 8-ball, literally full ball but dead weight, and then he's on the one to the right centre and he's away. But I think he's got just a shade too much.
Is he going to try and nip this a little bit? Or he's going to go the other way. So he's played position.
This looks perfect.
Yeah, he's played lovely position.
I think he just tops through and he develops the red by the 8-ball here.
And if he's not on it, he's got his insurance policy at the top of the table as well. It's a lovely plan B, as we've had to see the pair of them pull out tonight. Plan A hasn't always worked.
No, he didn't have the angle. He did not, so that's very tricky. This is now very, very tough, and he's playing for both reds in the same pocket here. I don't think he can get on the red by the 8-ball into the right centre pocket. This is tough.
Oh, this will be some shot. Hold on to your hats. You can see right there the window he's trying to land in.
Oh, and he can't make his mind up whether to screw or top it. I don't think the screw shots are the top spin shots on. It has to be screw. Yellow full in the face is perfect. What a shot! What a shot that is!
That is an outrageous bit of cueing from Mark Selby. Still work to do. Was it ever in doubt? What a finish this is. That's a little bit special from one of snooker's all-time greats, doing it once again on the small table. That is as good a clearance as we've seen in the tournament so far.
Gareth Potts made it 3-0 in the next frame before Patel and Singh pulled one back. We joined Selby with a simple chance to complete the job.
He is absolutely perfect. This has been some performance tonight from Selby and Potts. It really, really has. Some special moments. They've had to dig deep at times. Well, they're 2 shots away from qualification, and they'll be delighted to do it without a 6-red shootout this time around. Steve Singh and Hitton Patel gave it a right good go. So too did Osama Maskini and Ian Ali. But for the second year in a row, the Dream Team are into the second stage. Mark Selby and Gareth Potts get the job done. And for all their friends and family in the crowd and plenty of hangers-on and watchers along here tonight in Newcastle under Lyme, a really, really enjoyable evening. Selby and Potts are into the second stage. We will hear from them when we return. Congratulations, guys. That was a huge amount of fun to watch tonight. Did you enjoy playing in it? I know last year was all a bit of a whirlwind with how it ended, but tonight looked like you really, really enjoyed yourselves and obviously got the result done in 3 as opposed to needing that 6-red shootout.
Yeah, I did really enjoy it. I felt, to be honest, you know, I was under the first match. I did feel it. You know, there's a huge crowd out there. There's a great atmosphere, and obviously we lost the first frame of the doubles, and it was quite slow. I think there was maybe 12 or 13 minutes left on the clock after losing the first frame. So, you know, we were under pressure. So to get out of that match winning 2-1, I felt like, you know, that was a huge lifeline, to be honest. But yeah, I enjoyed it. There was a huge crowd. The atmosphere was great. Every match was played in great spirit. Yeah, and it was great to be a part of.
Pulled out some wicked finishes as well, the pair of you. It seemed to be, we said it in commentary, it seemed to be like there'd be a few mistakes every now and then, but you managed to dig deep and find some kind of plan B or plan C to get there in the end. Pulled out a couple of really naughty ones in that last match in particular, Mark.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I wanted it to be a lot easier, of course, but having not played pool for so long, you sort of forget the basics. I mean, Gareth saying to me on certain shots, you aim higher on the cue ball, which obviously I knew that when I was playing it many years ago, but just even little shots where I was leaving myself, I was playing a stun shot and it was coming back probably half a ball, and all of a sudden you've gone from like a sort of an easy clearance to sort of chasing the clearance. But yeah, I enjoyed it like Gaz did. I think the first match was key. Gaz potted, I think it was at 1-1 when he's digging down. Having, obviously, the other guy miss the red, the long red, where we was looking at going 2-1 down there, and then worst way, we could have probably only got a draw out of the game. So I think that was key, the first match.
And how about your shot that you played towards the end of that last match as well? Because you almost accepted your fate. You knew you couldn't get the angle and you had to play some screw shot. I know you're used to playing on a slightly longer and larger table, so it probably doesn't feel very long to you, but that was some shot you played.
Yeah. I mean, that was exactly what I was just talking about. The red I played in the middle before that, if I just drop it in and leave the white where the red is, then I can naturally just play the screw shot below the middle pocket. But because it come back like probably half an inch, I've got to try and pinch the pocket now, and I was looking at playing top spin, and Gareth was shouting to me it's not the shot because it's going to throw wide and I can't possibly get on the red. But yeah, probably one of them 1 in 10 shots, and it managed to come off tonight, which was nice.
Yeah, stunner. And I wanted to ask you about your 8 ball that Mark mentioned there. Did the fact that we talked about the shot that Lee played where he missed the red, and it was almost when you have to cue those ones in, and you know all the attention is if I just cue this one right, it's fine. You almost overthink the shot a little bit, and the pressure can get to you a little bit. When you see Lee miss one like that, does that almost add a little bit of extra tariff onto that shot for yourself?
It did, because I knew obviously the importance. Like Mark said, if we lose that, we can't possibly win the match. The best we can get is a draw. And when he missed the red, I had a couple of balls on the rail. I had one on the top rail, one on the side rail. And from the very first shot, I ran it through, and it might not look like much on the TV, but I ran it through maybe a couple of mil too far, which meant that I couldn't get on me one on the back cushion early. So then I took the balls in the complete wrong order, and every time I kept landing awkward and funny, and then I ended up straight again on the last ball, which I should have took second. So I'm now straight on it, and I know that I can only drop it in. I know I'm leaving the natural in off. I know if I miss, we can't win the match. I know I was going to leave myself digging down. So it was just one of them where I had to just pot it and leave myself the black, and because if you try and get too fancy with the cue ball, you snooker yourself, you're kicking yourself. So I just sort of took the medicine, and thankfully it went in.
Well, that sort of dynamic you talk about when you feel like you've taken them all out in the wrong order, the sort of making yourselves work really hard for it. That was fantastic fun for us to watch. I wanted to ask as well, your star mascot this evening, Sophia. Did you enjoy that from Daddy and Uncle Gaz there? Good evening.
Goody.
Do you think maybe next year I might be better off playing with the better Selby, Mummy?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Listen, you should be in bed by now. You should be saying no. But listen, we get through now. We play on another Monday night. So you're going to come and support us again?
Yeah.
Good game.
That's what we like to hear. Might not be the school holidays then either, so that's a big commitment from you there, Mark. And this time next week, the Pairs Cup is back in action. 3 Ultimate Pool pros making their Pairs Cup entrance. Scott Gillespie teaming with a former Crucible qualifier in Jamie Burnett, Rob Warren and Gabby Gill, Danny Eaton Lee's Dan Bailey and Joe Nolte and Ross Smith. What a night here at the Ultimate Pool Pairs Cup. We've enjoyed ourselves massively. We hope you have as well, and we'll see you this weekend for the Players' Championship. Till then.
This programme is brought to you by ultimatepool.tv.